Hi everyone, I'm Sandie La Nae. Welcome to Psychic Creations History Series. You are about to embark on a blast to the past. We have a very interesting show for you today, as our guest speaker is going to be talking about the Pony Express mail service. Please welcome to Psychic Creations History Series, the Vice President of the National Pony Express Association, Nevada Division, Ron Bell. Yay!
Hi everybody, how you doing?
It's an honor to have you on our show, Ron. All right. Well, let's just get right into it. Could you give our viewers a detailed explanation just about what the Pony Express is?
The current Pony Express is a group that preserves the history. It works with the Park Service to maintain the trail system through the United States. We cover 8 states, and we ride the same trail as close as possible as they rode in 1860 to 1861. We do it the same on horseback. We carry real mail in the mochilas, and we carry approximately 1,100 to 1,200 pieces of mail, which you, as a viewer, can sign up for. You need to go on to the National Pony Express Association website, go down to, and you will find a place down there for letters, and it'll have states. And just go ahead and use the Nevada division, because we're the most important. We're the greatest.
Well, I agree.
So that's kind of it. And we probably have here in the state, we've got probably a little over 100 to 150 members. And throughout the deal, there's probably close to 700 or 800 members through the different 8 states.
Oh, is that right? Oh, that's nice amount.
Yeah, pretty good.
Wow, great. Well, can you give our viewers, I'm sure maybe some really don't know what the Pony Express was. Could you give a history? Maybe speak about how it originated, where it started, where it ended, and who was hired to become riders?
There was an interesting situation. The country was beginning to feel signs of war, and the government felt that there was a need for a quicker mail service, because it took a month around the Horn and many weeks, a month or so, probably about 3 months around the Horn and a month to get things from the East Coast to the West Coast by stagecoach and other services. So Roberts, Waddell, Majors, Russell Major and Waddell. Russell was kind of a guy who was out in the field. He was in Washington, D.C., got talking to a representative from California. They felt the need was, and he thought they could get a contract to deliver the mail. Well, the contract never came, but they signed the paperwork, committed to it. And one of the funniest conversations I'd hate to see was when Russell came back from the East Coast. He walked in and he told Majors and Waddell, he said, "I've just signed us up to do the Pony Express Trail." "What? You did what?" Well, they started from the fall of 1859 to 1860. They had about 6 months to put in 100 and some stations across the way. They used some of the stagecoach stations and paired up with them. Others they had to build. A lot of them in the West didn't even have roofs on. They had just pole tops and brush. And they ended up putting this together in about 6 months, and in the beginning of, I guess it was about, I think, June 2nd, April 2nd in the 1860s when they fired off. And then, of course, on May 9th came along the war, with the Paiute War. It was on May 9th, on my mother's birthday. Of course, she wasn't quite that old, but anyway, we got that. And you know, Boulevard Roberts was a manager here in the West Coast, on the west side. Pony Bob Haslam came over from England and was involved here. He rode the fastest time, rode the longest distance, got shot by Indians and all of that stuff. And Warren Upson, of course, you take a look at him. He was a quite prominent rider, and I think he was relative of the newspaper publisher in Sacramento. And he was very instrumental in making sure that the mail got across the mountains. Just a great opportunity. Bronco Charlie Miller, which is the youngest rider, him and his brother was put on a ship because they was such little twits. At probably about 9 or 10 years old, their parents couldn't handle them, put them on board ship. They jumped ship in San Francisco. Bronco outrun his brother was slower. So he ended up getting out into the ranches and learned how to rope and ride. And he must have been a pretty good rider, because that's why they called him Bronco Charlie Miller. And he traveled with Warren Upson, was a front man for the Buffalo Bill Wild West show. Bronco Charlie Miller was a performer in there. And there's a lot of people that really, Johnny Fry came out of, he was one of the first riders coming out of St. Joe. He was later killed by Quantrell after the Pony Express went down. Just a lot of history. I mean,
goodness, there is.
Yeah, and that's what's exciting for me. I got an opportunity to do this and be part of the living history we're doing today. We're doing exactly the same. 10 days, 1,966 miles.
Oh, goodness. And 10 days.
10 days. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, wow. What point did they start? In Missouri to California?
St. Joe to Sacramento.
Sacramento?
Yeah, 1,966 miles. So Johnny Fry started on one end. I can't remember the kid's name that started heading east. And I don't know where they met first. But somewhere in the middle of the states, the rider would ride approximately 100 miles. 10 to 15 miles a horse. So they would take the horses out and run them. They didn't run them. They averaged, to get that 1,966 miles, they probably had to do 10 to 12 miles per hour. And probably they did 15, 20 during the day and somewhere around 8 at night. And that's what we try to do today. So you riders out there, if you got a yard ornament, get them in a little bit of shape. We do a trot canter, which will get you really in the wheelhouse for making the time. And we do have to keep the time, because we are dedicated to a certain many miles, 32 miles. We've got a certain period of time, 32, 35, whatever it is, we got a certain amount of time we have to make it in. Otherwise, the mail gets late.
Oh, sure, of course.
So.
If it does get late, are there riders that could make up the time, or not supposed to, but they do, or?
Oh, I'll tell you, we got the mail. We picked the mail up one time 4 hours late, coming in from Utah, and by the time it got to Genoa, we was ahead.
Oh, is that right?
But then another time we got the mail on time, and we was 4 hours late.
Really?
It's all because of circumstances. Last year we got into mud, snow in June. 23rd, 22nd June, in Ruby's out there on the eastern side. We was sloshing through mud. We had snow, we had sleet, we had hail. Trucks stuck in the ditch, got lost.
Goodness.
Trucks, you can't believe the struggle that goes on. It's like a military operation. 2 years ago, we had, I think there was 5 or 6 flat tires, one axle completely broken, and one horse lost.
Oh, no.
But the mail was not lost. Yeah, one lady, which was really sad, she came out from Chicago and was going to ride. They pulled the horses out, put the mochila on one horse. She gets to step up on that horse, and something happened. She fell off. The horse was gone. The mochila left, and we didn't blink. The mail moved forward. We spent about 10 minutes looking for the horse, couldn't find it, and we picked it up 3 days later or 2 days later.
Is that right? Oh, goodness sakes.
It's an exercise. It's fast.
It's
an
adventure, it sounds like.
You ride in with the mail. You jump off your horse. We pull the mochila off. We put on another horse, and we want you out of there immediately. And
Wow.
in the old days, they had, when they was doing it, when they was riding multiple horses, they had 2 minutes or 3 minutes to do that. And but now we try to get the exchanges as fast as we can, because what happens if we're late, Sandy, if we're late with the mail and we lose all this time, it can happen. and the other riders will try to catch it up. But we don't want anybody to get hurt, and only riders that are comfortable riding fast, we want them to ride fast. If you wanted to ride slow, wanted to trot your horse, or even if you had to walk, we would let you ride, get a ride pin, but you'd only go for maybe a quarter mile or a half mile. Then we get a faster rider on, you can participate. We want everybody to be able to participate. And then we have other jobs, which are helping with the horses, transportation. I might, when I follow the mail, I'm in my truck, and like this last year, I came in from the east, and I caught 2 hours sleep, and then came into Cold Springs, and my crew was in there. We did a safety meeting, then we talked about it, riders took off, we got 5 miles from the end, I turned it loose, I run down ahead, got the horse trailer, got my horse, and went on, and then somebody brought my truck to me, and then so it just leapfrog ahead at about 2 miles at a time. You go 2 miles and then jump out another horse, and away you go. And we make it very, very entertaining.
Well, there's a lot that goes on and has to go on
Yes.
for the re-ride.
Yeah.
Now, when is the re-ride? Is it at a particular time every year, or
It's always mid-June.
mid-June?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Generally, most of the times, like the 15th to the 20th, something like that, they try to catch the moon, but sometimes we can't because at night, 4 years ago, we had the super moon. Oh my goodness, was it? I wrote a poem on that, and it was it's in this book here. It's called The Magic of the Ride, and it just talks about how the moon just lifted you spiritually and picked you up, and it made you just feel like you're floating across the flats, running wide open. I mean, there's nothing like riding a horse in the middle of the night. I rode at 2 o'clock in the morning last year. Rode with a young lady, and she said, "My God, this is my bucket list." She said, "I've been wanting to do this as a kid."
Aww.
And 2 o'clock in the morning, nothing out there but the stars, and we're galloping across through the trail across Simpson Pass.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness!
What an adventure.
Oh, it's exciting, yeah.
Do you run into animals, coyotes or bears or anything?
Well, in that year of the supermoon, I was riding, and in part of the poem, it's a shadow crossed my path. And part of it, I'm riding down the trail, and my horse stumbles, and I go on, and different things like this. And that poem talks about 6 riders and experiences. But yes, I got on and was riding, and Dandy is well aware of everything that's going on. We're cantering down through there, and boy, I mean, tell you, all of a sudden I felt him stiffen up, and heard him snort 2 or 3 times and blow, and there was a shadow, and I think it was a mountain lion. It went across the trail out there by Sand Mountain. So,
Is that right?
yeah, so.
Well, now that would be a little scary to get your horse spooked anyway.
Well, that's one of the things that we have, which is fantastic. We have the radio group, the shortwave radio people.
Oh,
I'll tell you, man, they are fantastic. They follow us everywhere. I'll tell you a little story about one of the little deals that happened. One of the girls that was riding with us as a shadow rider. She was riding behind another girl that lives here locally. My son brought the mail in, they switched it, and the one gal got up and turned around to the other and said, "Okay, hon, we're gonna trot across the road, and then we're gonna canter out across the Carson Playa." Well, what happened is she stepped up, her horse pitched a fit, bucked her off. She's sitting on the ground, Crystal is gone, and she's running out across the deal, and this other gal looks up, and the Jeep driver was still there. She said, "Give me a ride." So she jumps in the Jeep. They're running 50 miles an hour or so across the playa, gets out ahead of them. She jumps out. Crystal comes by, throws a reins to her, and she jumps on and finishes the ride. Now, is that exciting?
That is teamwork.
Oh man, I'll tell you, it's hilarious.
Oh, how fun.
Yeah, so we have a good time.
Well, it sounds like it. A lot of people are involved. That's nice.
Very, very much so, and the unsung heroes are the people, or the background. who help bring us stuff. I'll make sure that we got maybe need somebody to drive a truck for us, or we need maybe somebody's out there with sandwiches or something.
Yeah.
And we've had that a couple times, and just a little bit of help here and there. It's a great thing to be involved. And the other thing that we like is, if you can't ride, doesn't mean that you can't talk. So you can go out and learn the story, learn some stuff, go to schools, and we have riders come out that can ride. You can do the talk, and that way a non-rider can participate and be as much important to the Pony Express as anybody else.
Isn't that wonderful? That is wonderful.
Yeah. So,
wow.
great opportunities. It's fantastic opportunity.
Isn't that? I'm just kind of stunned here. I didn't know all of this was going on. The people behind the scenes and that's impressive. That's impressive. Well, how does one? I have a question right here for you.
Ooh.
How does one become a Pony Express member?
That's so difficult.
It is.
Oh, I'll tell you, it takes a long time of study and all that stuff.
Oh, does it? Oh, I
yes.
thought I was.
Oh, no.
Okay, I need to back that up.
No. What you do is that you go on the website and you download an application.
Oh.
You fill the application out, pay your money, and we invite you in and bring you in as part of the Pony Express.
I thought that was for sure.
I'm sorry about that. You can't, some of the stuff you can't trust me on, Sandy. Oh my goodness.
How fun. So that is, they have a national website or?
Yeah, it is, the nationalponyexpress.com.
.com,
Go on
okay.
there, and then go to Nevada, because we're the most important.
That's right.
The rest of them aren't. And we are the ones. Go to our deal, and that's where you can get your information for mailing a letter. So you can actually go on that website, go to Nevada, click on it, download the application, and you can actually have a letter that will be loaded. This year it will be loaded into the Mochia in Sacramento.
Okay.
It will be ridden 1,966 miles to the Petey House in St. Joe. They'll take it off. They'll take those letters. They're all stamped, and it's a U.S. Postal. The U.S. Postal Service, the Coast Guard, and the Pony Express are the only ones that are actually legal in the United States to carry U.S. mail.
I did not know that. Interesting.
Now, it took, I'm thinking it was 84, 85. Okay. We never, as the original Pony Express, never got the mail contract. Never got a signed mail contract.
Oh.
Yeah. Russell, Major, and Waddell were broke before they ever started it, but they made a commitment. They was a freighting company. And they knew they was in trouble from the time they set it up. They committed to it. They was honorable people, very religious, and we today still, we give all new riders a Bible, and they have a pledge, and they pledge to be decent to the people and their horses, and so, that's part of the game. It's just, that's how you become a member, what the history is. So the mail is carried, it's real mail, we handle it off, and it gets mail, we do letters. I mean, fantastic opportunity.
So involved. Interesting, very impressive.
I hope I answered that question because I got off track a little.
I think you answered it perfectly.
Oh, wow. That's a little scary.
Now, Ron, does the Pony Express hold fundraisers or awareness events?
Yeah, we do. We just finished one in the Carson Mall. We did an awareness deal on Christmas. We had Dandy at the Carson Mall, and had the Mochia down there, and we had Christmas cards, and they did, kids got to color a card, take it, and then we stamped it with the Pony Express stamp, and it was really well received. We talked to hundreds of kids.
Nice.
We got rid of 65 cards. And we are able to do fundraisers, and we had a saddle donated to us last year, which one of our members won. So we worked that out, and we are working. The awareness stuff is that we do schools, We do a tremendous amount of school talks.
Nice.
Which we go out, the kids study the Nevada history in 4th and 5th grade. I've had as many as a whole school, 600-800 kids on the ground at one time watching the horses run. And
Oh, fun. That would be fun.
it's hilarious. And then one of the things that we really do to get the kids engaged on this thing is that I have a box or a coffee can that's full of questions. And some of the kids, if we go to an event, will say, hey, if your kids want to do questions, have them stump the presenter. And
Fun.
I think the funniest one that ever came down was that they asked me who was the 7th rider. And I'm standing there and I says, wasn't that Bill's kid? Sam? And then we give him a prize. They had no way in the world we could get that. But,
Sure. Oh, how fun. Well,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's very nice. The fundraisers, the awareness, that's awesome. Well, now what I would like to ask you is about your new book.
This new one is it's a part of the Ronnie Campbell series. The first one was the Pony Express Rider. And this is the arrogant me riding my horse Dandy. The picture was taken by a local photographer. We had Dennis Drusilla, we had Christine Coburn, and it was fantastic. We did a whole shoot one day, and that's how this picture came in.
Oh,
but the new
nice.
book is a continuation. It's talking about Ronnie Campbell, who is the Pony Express rider, fiction, but he rode in the book with a lot of the real riders, and he was instrumental in taking care of some of the business. But this book talks about history and places in the 1860s, 1861 bracket, 1862, and it's a story of a ranch and gold mine and all of these things that if you look at the Pony Express Rider, Ronnie Campbell series by Ron Bell on Amazon, you will find that these two books are on Amazon. Dog-Eared Books here in Carson City has the book, and there's a couple other locations around. One of them out at Silver Springs at the Antique Link. A few other places. Cold Spring Station out on Highway 50 has them. But no, it's great. How do you know whether it's a good book or not? You can't tell because your friends will lie to you. So I don't know. But I've heard people enjoy it, so I enjoyed writing it, and
Well, I can vouch, and I won't lie, the books are very enjoyable to read. All right, now, on the line of Pony Express, you've had a wonderful surprise come to you recently.
Are you talking about a movie?
I'm talking about a movie.
We have a producer out of Hollywood area is called me a few years ago. We've been working on this for two and a half years, and Brian McLaughlin. Brian is working on the script right now. About 30 days ago, we had a meeting with them at Cold Spring Station. We got to meet the writer, who's from England, which is a hoot because he's from basically the same general area that Tony Bob Haslam's relatives were. So he's over here. He has got other credits to his name, but we are working on that right now. We're going to be doing a little bit of a pilot shoot around the 1st of February with Pony Express riders helping with their horses and this kind of stuff to do in the background. And we got one rider I think will be actually filmed in it and as a rider. So, and then we'll probably have some opportunities for some of the period costume groups to come out and participate and be, kind of walk-bys and different things. So, fantastic opportunity for Nevada and for the Pony Express.
Yes.
And I got to be a consultant on it, and I'll be working with a young lady from the museum, Donna, I can't remember her last name, out of Fallon. So we're it's really exciting, being able to be part of this. My job is going to be, I'll be the drunk that sweeps the stables. I'm too old for anything else.
Well, I think that sounds like a
Well, maybe I
fun
won't be
part.
drunk, but I'll just pretend to be.
Yeah, okay. Well,
Yeah.
there you go. When will the filming start?
We're looking right now, the script, we're supposed to start seeing script in late February. And in the fall of next year, we should be, late summer and early fall, we should be able to shoot it. And it's going to be a fantastic endeavor, and there's going to be quite a few people that's going to be able to be involved. So,
Oh, well, it sounds like a wonderful project.
fun time. Yeah, fun
Fun
time.
time.
Yeah.
Ron, there is one question that I would like to ask you. When we have our history series, I like to have it associated with my Psychic Creations TV shows. Has there been a Pony Express rider or something that you felt like you've channeled or you have a connection with that you can tell our viewers about?
You know, that's the funniest thing in the world. You know, we did an interview about a year and a half ago or something, and we was having tea and crumpets afterwards, and you know, I just got a big kick out of it because guys made the comment to me, is that have you ever thought about where your characters come from? And I said, no, I have no idea, because I don't write with a storyboard. I have no idea where it's going. I start typing. And what you guys brought to me is the fact that said there's a good chance that you're a channeler for ghosts. They're telling me their stories. And I kind of wrote that off. And this book right here, I am into the book at just about right there, around 13 chapters. That book was going nowhere. I could not make it go. I read it, I reread it, I read it, I reread it, nothing. I was on a business trip. I sell for ag products. So I'm out of Tucson, Arizona, running 80 mile an hour down 10. And all of a sudden, it's honest to God, I thought I hit somebody or something, because I heard something, and then this voice, literally, I'm looking in the back seat because I think somebody's in the car. Voice came to me and says, "I'm Spike Martin. I came to finish your book." That's exactly what I heard. I just shrugged it off, wasn't nobody in the car, left, went on about my business. I got home, I'm thinking, wow, man, if this is true, I'm gonna fire that computer off, popped the zip drive in, read the last chapter, nothing. Absolutely nothing. I went back, wrote the chapter 11, 12, 13, nothing. Hit enter, type Spike Martin, and boom, that book lit off. I knew where Spike Martin needed to be. I went back 2 chapters, introduced him into the story, and then filled in the next 2 chapters with little tidbits of conversations that I felt would be appropriate with that. And that book never slowed down. And every time, I swear, every time I tried to drive the book, I could not do it. I had a vision in my head how something was going to go. I started to type it and it did not type. I typed something else.
Oh.
The story was different. I could not drive the narrative on 2 people, two ghosts or whatever they are, whoever's telling me,
Right.
2 people that entered into that book, and I have no idea where Spike Martin came from. I've never heard the name before in my life.
Oh.
I've got another guy that came in. All of this stuff is just incredible to me. I mean, how do you get that? I don't know.
Ron, thank you so much for being a wonderful part of Psychic Creations History Series.
Well, thank you.
It's an honor to have you here. Thank you so much for watching Psychic Creations History Series. And if you would like to be a guest on our show, you can contact me at my website, which is www.sandiepsychicstones.com, or at my email address, which is admin@sandiepsychicstones.com.